Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let's give it a few minutes. Let all the folks come on in. Let me just. Okay, we'll wait a minute here. Okay, we have a lot of folks coming in right now. This is Ari Galper. Hope you're all doing well. We'll give it a couple of seconds, and let me actually get started. We're right top of the hour. So let me just share a screen here, and we will get rolling. My name is Ari Galper, and as you probably know, I specialize in trust-based selling. And today is a very important topic that we're going to be talking about. And if you have any Q&A or questions, please hold them to the end, because this is very much a master class. I'll be teaching a lot, sharing some new insights. Write your questions down if you like, and happy to answer those for you at the end. And thank you again for attending. Been doing this for a long time, 25 years, believe it or not, and there's a lot of trends happening now in the advisor market where I work, and we're going to give you some new ideas, some breakthroughs today. So I wanted to actually dedicate today's talk to my grandmother, who is 101 years old. She passed away recently. She was an entrepreneur, business owner, and she left me lots of insights and ideas over the years. I meet with her, I'd take notes, and she said this to me. She said, Ari, successful people are made in good times and in bad times, which means that times have nothing to do with it. It all has to do with how open you are, changing your mindset and challenging your own thinking. And I got that exact same message from this gentleman here. You might recognize him, Richard Branson, when he was visiting. And he's told our group the exact same thing. You got to be willing to let go of what you're holding on to shift as the economy shifts, and adapt with that. When you have that right mindset, then you'll be successful over time. And that quote very much relates to our talk today about challenging your own thinking, your own construct of how you acquire new clients and how you go about bringing them on board. If you don't know, I'm an author of 6 books around trust-based selling, positioning, how to not chase leads, how to build trust with someone on one conversation. Multiple books on this topic by a lot of our advisor clients who consume these and pass them to their advisors. But the one I'm most excited about and is most special to me is this one, called Lessons from Toby. It's about my son Toby. When he was born, we were told that he had Down syndrome. And at first, we know what that meant to our lives. If you know someone who has Down syndrome, you know they're very special people. They are very transparent, very loving, very open. They have no hidden agenda. And I wrote a book about him called Lessons from Toby, everything I learned from him as his dad, and I'm still learning from him today. And very much his philosophy of the world is embedded in my approach. It was unique in that way because it came from Toby, about not playing any games with people, not having to prove yourself to people, but being so authentic that they just can't help but to work with you. And I've taken that sort of philosophy and packaged it into a process that I think you're really going to enjoy today, that's going to help you a lot to grow your practice coming up in the new year. And now, let me tell you the story behind how I came up with this concept years ago. I used to be a sales manager in a software company, and I was managing 18 people underneath me. And it was the first online website tracking tools. You probably heard of Google Analytics. Well, it was a tool like that. And I got the big leads that came across my desk, the big opportunities. And one day I got a phone call from a website, and I took the phone call, and it was a really big company. They had a huge amount of websites worldwide. And my contact said, we're very interested in your product. And we scheduled a demo call for that following Friday. And if this sale went well, it would double the revenue of the whole business in one transaction. That's how big it was. So I'll never forget the day. It was Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in the conference room with my CEO, and I closed the door behind me. And I got the old school speakerphones, you know, the Star Trek ones, 3 legs on them. And I hit the speakerphone. Dial tone comes up, called the number that he gave me. And phone rings, and he says, hello. And he said, hey, how's it going? And he says to me, Ari, let us tell you who's with us in the line today. I said, great. Next thing I hear is, my name's Mike, I'm CEO. I was like, ooh, that's a good person to have on this line. My name is Chris, I'm head of global IT. Perfect. My name is Julie, I'm head of global marketing. Amazing. Everybody on this call was a decision maker. It's going to happen. It's going to happen today. So I introduced myself. I had them log in to do a demo of how we use our product on their website, on one of their websites as a prototype. So I was showing them all the live information they can track for the first time. This is all new for them. So I started walking them through everything, And I started hearing these noises, these questions to the phone call, like, wow, this is great. They started asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do we install it? It's amazing. They were giving me so much amazing feedback. It was like a love fest on the phone. If you've been there before, you know what I'm talking about. When the client's asking you all the right kinds of questions and you got all the right kind of answers, the chemistry is so thick, you're saying to yourself, this is just, it's the perfect call. And after an hour goes by, my contact says to me, Ari, this is great. We love it. Look, give us a call a couple weeks and follow up with us. I will move this thing forward. I was like, great, amazing. So I said my goodbyes. I took my hand, reached for the speakerphone. As I'm reaching for the off button, by complete accident, I hit the mute button instead of the off button. They were right next to each other. And by divine intervention, I hit the wrong button. A small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone. Now, you probably imagine they would probably be saying to themselves things were positive. You know, we're going to go with them. Sounds incredible. This is great. But let me share with you exactly what they said, word for word, that I heard in that call. Here's what they said. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and shop someplace else cheaper. Knife and heart twist. I was in a state of shock. I could not believe that I was lied to. I did everything I was taught to do by my bosses, by the gurus, by my coaches. You know, be presentable, create energy, create value. I did everything right, but for some reason they weren't comfortable telling me the truth. And that really hit me really hard. I hit the off button and I looked at the wall and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I did everything I was told to do in selling. They liked me, they trusted me, I thought. And so that's when I came up with this concept of unlocking this dysfunctional sales game that's been going on for many, many years. And how do I do that? I have to unravel the sales thinking we've all been taught to do and build a model and a process that's so simple and simplistic in its nature, but has the ability to connect with people at a deep level in a short amount of time, to have them trust you and I to want to work with us. And that's where this concept came from. But that experience, you know, is interesting. I was over, 25 years ago, but it relates to now more than ever. That's why I've sort of deemed what we're in right now is what I call the trust recession. And the trust recession comes from all the way from government levels, institution levels, down to buyer and seller level. And I believe right now we're in the middle of a trust recession. Now, what does that mean? Here's what it means from our perspective on the ground level. We are now in a commoditized world, right? Your prospects are shopping you. They may have an advisor already or they're looking for an advisor, but no longer are you unique to them from the outside in. There's many of you out there. And so it's kind of for them an apples to apples comparison, right? So what they're really doing is they're in shopping mode. They're shopping for someone else to work with them who they may already have or not happy with someone, but they are shopping for something that they believe is a commodity because they can't tell who's unique and who's different in any way possible. They're not experts in what you do. So because of that, they make you do what I call free consulting, free education, brainstorming, giving your time for free. And then what happens at the end is they want to think about it. And of course, then they make you chase them, right? This is the cycle that a lot of advisors are in right now when they're meeting, getting referrals, meeting with people in networking groups, or however they get leads. They're in this vicious cycle where they're being shopped, they're doing free consulting education, giving their time away for free, and they don't get a commitment. And so the key for today, the big idea is how do you break out of this recession, trust recession cycle, so you're not viewed as a commodity anymore, because that's where the world's going. So you have to be able to differentiate. And so let me kind of give you the anatomy of why we're here and why I think you're going to be interested in this, because I've done a lot of work in the advisory space, and I want to walk you through a lot of the construct and thinking that advisors still have in the back of their mind. As you probably all know, you've all grown up in the world where your first meeting is called discovery meeting, right? And in that meeting, you're supposed to do things like this. You're supposed to essentially, let me just click here, build a relationship with someone, right? That's the whole goal of the discovery meeting. Then hopefully in that meeting, you fact find, you ask questions to gather facts from them. And then from there, you're supposed to show them your value, right? They're supposed to see how valuable you are, your knowledge, your expertise, brainstorming. These are all components that you've probably been taught over the years. You're probably still doing right now, which is what you're supposed to be doing as normal by the industry. Then, of course, you're supposed to create some momentum, some chemistry, energy, rapport to move things forward. And hopefully at the end, you get a commitment. Those are the 5 components that essentially make up what we call a discovery meeting from the traditional gurus and probably your peers and how you got here to where you are today. But you're probably experiencing what a lot of my clients are experiencing is they do all these things they're supposed to do. At the end of the meeting, they get this. They get, I want to think about it. Now you say to yourself, why would they want to think about it? I just did what I was supposed to do. I gathered the facts. I showed them my value. I connected with them at a human level. Why are they not committing? What's the fear of commitment here? Well, you're going to discover that the issue with all these components is they're missing a deeper level of trust. And that's going to be the whole topic of today, to really help you understand this. And to get you to a different way of thinking around this, I'm going to have to bust some of the myths in the back of your mind that you're probably still thinking about how you view selling, to upgrade you to where the world is today, where we need to go next. So here are some of the typical myths that I hear from a lot of my clients I work with in the beginning of our work together. They say things to me like, Ari, I need to build a relationship with someone in my first meeting. And I say to them, no, relationship building is not required to create trust. And they go, huh? Well, what does that mean? I thought they have to get to like me and know me first before they can trust me. And we'll talk about that today. It sounds contrarian in thinking, but relationship building is not required to build trust with someone. And I'll talk to you more about it in a little bit. Then I hear this a lot too. I hear, I need to gather the facts. I'm a financial advisor. I'm numbers oriented. I have to gather all the facts from these people in that first meeting, have them fill out forms first, and then gather all their information. Well, no, fact finding is not trust building either. And the only purpose of that first meeting is for them to trust you, not gather facts from them. Then I hear, well, I need to ask them about their goals. Well, why are they here today? What do they want to achieve next 20 years? What's their goals? Well, that's called future selling. When you're future selling, what that does, it moves you away from their current problem now. So you have to stop focusing on future selling and their goals in that first process. You have to focus instead on their current problems they have now and go deep on that. Then there's this one, it's a big one. Well, they need to like me, of course. We have to build rapport, get to know each other better. And here's the irony about this. They don't even have to like you to trust you. They'll still hire you if they don't like you, but if they trust you, they will. Which opens up a whole new can of worms of, well, what am I missing here? What am I not doing to build trust with them? And so part of what I'm going to share with you today is eliminating a lot of these old constructs and ideas that you have in the back of your mind that you feel obligated that you have to do. And that goes to the marketing side as well. And in a way, what I've done is, and my clients will tell you this, is I've challenged the traditional sales and marketing model. And how I've done that is by flipping it upside down in a different direction. So a lot of you who are now working on trying to get leads for your business, through referrals or buying leads from sources, from the Facebook people who are offering you leads, all those kind of things. Here's the model they're all in, and you're maybe buying into this. Not your fault, but it's what you grew up with, right? You probably heard of the sales funnel concept. It kind of looks like that. You know the funnel? The funnel concept is where you put as much as you can at the top of the funnel, right? And then at the bottom, you spend all your time in the middle of the funnel, qualifying people, and at the end, hopefully a few come out. That's called the high volume, low conversion model. Most advisors accept that as normal. That's just the way it works. I buy a whole bunch of leads, I get some referrals, and then I spend time with them. Some are qualified, some are. At the end, a few commit, and that's just the way the world is. Well, that's the expected way of thinking for those who only know that one way of thinking. But I've always been a contrarian. That's kind of my whole unique model. And so I developed something called the sales cylinder concept, where it's very different than the sales funnel. The sales cylinder concept is you only put at the top of your funnel only your ideal client. And at the bottom, almost all of them come out. That's a low volume, high conversion model. So if you're on the left side of this thing doing this sales funnel model and burning through your time with unqualified leads who aren't committing, you got to think about how can I flip the model into more of a low volume, high conversion model. And most of you on this call today are in a low volume, high margin business model. That's the quadrant you live in, right? You don't need 30 clients tomorrow. You have to be happy with 1 or 2 more a month. Would make your year. That's 24 a year. And AUM of $1 million or above, that's a great year to have for a lot of advisors. So what if you shifted your thinking to just focusing on trust building and only bringing your ideal client in and not chase all the noise around you that you might be being sold onto right now? So let me try some more myths here to challenge you on the whole funnel concept and the whole marketing side you're probably involved with right now. I hear this a lot. Ari, I need some more leads. And I talk to them about their business model, and they have some opportunities they're not converting. And I say, wait a second here. You don't need more leads. You need a higher conversion rate. If you only need 1 new client a month or 2 new clients a month, you're meeting with 5 or 6 or 4 or 3 a month. Why not convert all of them? Right? They're qualified. You have the value. You have the credentials. What's missing here? They just don't trust you enough to commit with you on that first meeting. Let's fix that problem first before anything else. Once you fix that, then you can justifiably bring more leads in at the top of the funnel. And I hear this a lot. We have a three-part process, a 2-meeting process, a 5-meeting process, right? That's assuming you get the sale, right? If you don't, you have a multiply-step process. You got to chase people who don't commit to you, don't give you. How many of you have asked clients for documents, and they don't give you the documents to review? They don't ever upload them into your system. You got to chase them for that as well. So the only reason for a long sales cycle is this, because if they trusted you more, you'd have a shorter sales cycle. The only purpose here, look, it takes a second for them to say to you, I'm in, let's do this. Why does it take multiple meetings? Why does it take you having to chase them? It's not necessary if they trusted you from the beginning and not at the end. Also, this is a very common advisor construct. I have to show my value. I have to over-deliver. Well, here's the big news. Value has been commoditized. They can get the same ideas from other people as well. From their perspective, they don't know you're unique. When you're trying to explain what you do to them, they're hearing you, but in their mind, they're going, well, thank you so much. Let me check with the other advisor and see what they have to say as well. They can't separate what's unique and different. So the value proposition itself in the advisor market has been commoditized, which means you got to shift your approach to something uniquely different. They're not hiring you on value, they're hiring you on trust. That's the big idea today, which requires a mindset shift. It's not easy to first, once you get this, you'll never go back to your old way again. Then there's this concept. I need to educate them on what I do. Give them ideas, brainstorm, show them I know what I'm talking about. Well, interesting enough, that's called free consulting, where you're providing value, giving ideas, giving insights, employing certain strategies. You're just attempting to prove yourself. It's called the expert sale. All this is unnecessary. It's high energy. It's your time you're giving away for free, and it's unnecessary. It actually hurts your sales process. And we're going to talk about how to basically shift your thinking away from all this now into a different mode of thinking. So what I want to do today is move you from the mindset of I am a financial advisor to I am a financial doctor. All right, it's a mindset, it's a self-image shift in your own mind to shift how you view yourself. You're not to give advice anymore pre-sale. Instead, you're going to operate like a doctor with bedside manner, and I'm going to talk you through what that means from a doctor perspective, right? They're respected, they're trusted, they don't try to become your friend, they don't try and build value. So here's the big idea behind this, okay? Relationship building is not the same as trust building. They're whole two different concepts. Relationship building takes a lot of time. You don't have time in your sales process because you're being shopped. So your goal is not to build a relationship with someone pre-sale. Your goal is only to have them trust you. You build a relationship with them after they're a client, not before they're a client. There's pre-sale and there's post-sale. Most advisors mix it all together into one big soup of the same ideas. So what I've done for you is I've broken this out for you into a bit of a chart so you can see what I'm talking about with the concept, so you have clarity on what I'm trying to convey to you today. So on this axis, there's trust. On this axis is time, right? If you've been trained your whole career, when you meet someone in your first meeting and beyond that to build a relationship with them, what you're automatically doing is adding in time. Because relationship building takes a lot of time to build with someone to get to a conclusion. That's a very long sales cycle. And when you do that, you end up with a lot of, I want to think about it, I'm not ready yet, my wife's not here, send me information, maybe a better time later. Then you have to kind of follow up with them, check in with them, and try to get them back on again onto a meeting. And then it's a very poor use of your time, which is for you a diminishing asset. You must preserve your time, your precious time. But if you shift your thinking to, okay, what if I can compress my sales cycle down to potentially even one meeting, and then what I have is I'm focusing only on trust, not relationship building. I have the whole doctor model I'll talk to you about in a minute. Then what you have is no more chasing of clients. They either onboard with you or they don't onboard with you if it's not a fit right from the beginning. You don't have to sell yourself anymore. You don't have to talk about your firm, your proposition, how many assets you have, how big your team is. You have to stop selling yourself because that's viewed as persuasion. And you can actually do what you're meant to do, which is financial advice work, not selling anymore the old way. So once you see the two concepts, you'll say to yourself, I have to shift my thinking away from a long sales cycle, doing these activities in red, to focusing on the green cycle to build that trust. And so what I have done to make this happen is I've invented something called the one-call sale, where there's no chasing of prospects ever again. There's no sales pressure you have to apply, whether it's overt or covert, and there's no pressure on you to close them at all. This is a patent pending process I've submitted with the patent office, and I've been teaching this now for 3 or 4 years with my advisory clients who are having amazing success with this, who have come to me with doing all what I've just showed you. They were doing a lot of free consulting, multiple meetings, relationship building, everything the wrong way, and now they flipped their model to the one-call sale model, and now they're onboarding folks on that first meeting, without chasing them, without relationship building, everything we've been taught to do. Now, I know this is very contrarian to a lot of folks listening today, but just keep an open mind, because once you make this flip, the switch in your mind, I promise you'll never go back ever again. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk you through the actual framework of the one-call sale and teach this to you, at least show you the framework of it, so you get the concept behind what I'm talking about here, okay? So it's called our success roadmap for the one-call sale. And of course, the first piece of the puzzle here is the mindset shift. And that's around the doctor-patient mindset, where you're not an advisor on this meeting with people. You're now a doctor and there's a patient in front of you. And really your goal is not to build a relationship with them and be socialized with them, but you want to minimize the chit-chat, and you want to focus on having bedside manner and empathy. Less overly friendliness and trying to build a relationship with these people in the beginning. That mindset also includes being what I call problem-centric, not solution-centric, right? Because it's easy for you to be in you live inside your solutions every day. You have lots of ideas to help people, and your instinct is to want to suggest ideas to help people solve their problem. But it's premature to the process here to do that if you're not focusing deeply inside their issues first. And that's where you begin to unpack, do a deep dive inside their world, and stay in there as long as you can until they say this to you. They say, how can you help me? That's the whole mindset we have to kind of teach you first. But assuming you have the mindset from there, here's what happens first in that first meeting. Let's just say you have your first meeting with someone on Zoom. It's a lead. They show up on Zoom. A lot of advisors start with, what brought you in today? What can I do for you? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? All those open-ended questions, which lead to a bit of zigzag and left and right, and an hour later they want to think about it. So we have our own what we call trust-based languaging that we've tested and used that goes with the doctor model. So it starts, the first opening phrase when you meet someone on Zoom or live is obviously nice to meet you as well. Then it starts with kind of top of the iceberg question. It starts with this. Let's take a step back, if you wouldn't mind, John, and maybe walk me a bit through your background, your situation, up to your current financial concerns, and we'll go from there. Would that be okay with you? And you sit back in your chair like that, take your finger over your mouth, and go like this, and cover your mouth so you don't talk. And I'm not joking. I know it sounds funny, but you're the doctor, they're the patient. It says the message right from the beginning of the meeting that the ball's in their court. You're not talking today. It's not about you. It's about them. But notice the key word here, your current financial concerns, not what are your goals, what brought you in today. No, it's focused right on the problem. And so they start sharing with you what their issues are. Now you go down what I call down the iceberg, which is from the surface level down below the iceberg. And then down midway, you're going to do what I call COI, cost of inaction, where you help them articulate what the monetization is, the losses to their portfolio, to the years off the retirement planning, or overpaying on taxes, what the economic losses are of not solving their problem now. You can use phrases like, have you considered? Are you aware of? Have you thought about the impact of waiting longer to do this? And you have language that we can help you with to articulate and monetize the economic loss of not solving the problem that they have right now. This is reverse engineering. It's very contrarian, because your instinct, when you hear someone describe their problem to you, like, I want to retire next 3 to 5 years, and my wife and I are working right now, and we don't have a plan, your system goes, oh, okay, I can help you with that. But what we're going to teach you, and if you want to learn more about this, is how to not get in a solution mode, but go deeper down the iceberg with the problem and unpack that problem so they understand the gravity of the situation, the seriousness of it. And then when they at the bottom of the iceberg, you're going to ask this question. You're going to ask, is this a priority for you to address and resolve once and for all? So you can get this off your plate and finally have peace of mind. And I'm okay if it's not, right? It's not your problem, it's theirs. So a lot of this is you letting go of your old voice in the back of your mind saying, I got to move them forward. I got to prove value. I got to show them what I do. This is all about them, and this model here helps you get inside their world where they ask you for help. And they say to you, how can you help me? Because they're hiring you emotionally, not intellectually. Their instinct will say to themselves, this guy trusts me. I trust him. He understands me at a deep level. He's not trying to persuade me, convince me, be friendly with me. He gets me. And that's the goal of the model, to build that trust. Once you have that, then you move to the next phase of the process, which is showing them your roadmap. Now, a roadmap means the process of how you solve their problem. It doesn't mean how you work, what your services are. And I know a lot of you already have in your mind a process of what works when they want to work with you. And you probably now audibly describe it to somebody. But when they hear it from you, they don't believe it. You have to create a visual format that shows them what your roadmap is, what your process is, kind of like what you're seeing here today. A very left to right, single-paced process that's so simple, so clear, that essentially they're buying your process first before they're buying you. A lot of you probably have a visual tool like this somewhere. It's probably buried in some PowerPoint somewhere. It's probably circles and arrows and confusing for them. But you need your own simplistic roadmap that does not describe your services, but shows them a meta step before that, so they can see a framework in their mind with such clarity. They say to themselves, man, this guy has a formula for success. He will not drop the ball on me. I can trust him now. Then from there, you do what I call onboarding. You onboard them right there and then with this phrase. You say, where would you like to go from here? Okay? You're not trying to move them forward. You're creating space to allow them to step into it, to have them buy you, rather than you try to sell them. That's the difference here. Then you want to be sure to slow down. A lot of the folks get excited at this stage of the process because they feel like the momentum is there, and they get what I call hopium. You know what the hopium drug is, right? You go in your body and you get excited about the sales opportunity. But the key with this is to stay calm, stay centered like a doctor, a bedside manner, not be overexcited, and basically you want to schedule them to the next step in your process. A lot of advisors have great meetings with people and they let them go. They just drop off the funnel. They got to chase them. They do not schedule them for our next meeting. We have unique languaging for how to move somebody from first meeting onto your calendar for the next onboarding meeting. You need that piece to connect all of this together. What you're seeing here is a framework of the one-call sale. And if you can master the art of this, you've aced the ability. As far as I'm concerned, you should all be having a conversion rate of 100% of all your qualified leads. Why not? They're qualified? You can do the job? What's missing? It's your ability to build trust with them and let go of all that old kind of sales advisory stuff you've been taught to do, which has been commoditized. Because here's the big idea here. They are hiring you based upon your approach, not your efficacy. What I mean by that is they cannot judge how good you are or how effective you are until after they're a client, not before. So they're not hiring you on your credibility, on your resume, on how good you are, and how great you sound. They're hiring you how they feel about you and how you're treating them in your approach. So your approach has to be so unique, like this I'm teaching you today, that they're hiring you based upon this approach, not on anything else, because you're the only one they met with in their cycle of shopping around that they can build trust with someone. So the big idea today is you want to take them down what I call the iceberg concept, where you start with the opening phrase I gave you and have a series of questions beneath that really peels the onion back, unpacks their world, goes inside the problem, and you have to stay in there like a diver. You got to dive inside the iceberg and stay inside the world as long as you can. At first it'll be weird because you're not used to that. You're used to asking fact-finding questions, gathering what you need to have enough in your mind and go, I can solve this, and off you go to the solution path. But once you get this right, like a doctor diagnosing a patient, right? When you go see a doctor, what's the first thing he says to you? He says, where does it hurt? You say, my shoulder. He says, let me take a look. Let's look on this, get your x-ray, see what's going on. He gets the x-ray, puts in the light bulb, things, here's the problem you've got. You got that going on, you got that going on, and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that was the problem. And then he writes your prescription, you go to the front desk, and you pay the doctor, not for solving your problem, for clarity on how to solve the problem. Now, the pharmacist dispenses the medicine down the road. A lot of you might be doing all that in one time, which means you're commoditizing your approach. So what are the big ideas from today and the big shifts? It's these. Be the doctor, not the pharmacist. Stop dispensing advice. Stop having to prove yourself against other advisors. Just master the art of trust building only. It is a new skill. A lot of you grew up in the relationship model where you met people through networking or you got a lot of referrals. That was great. But the next generation coming up behind you doesn't have your network, will need to have skills on how to build trust with people. You yourself have to do this to be able to upgrade your firm's growth strategy for next year, to be able to really hone in on conversion only versus paying money on bad leads or more leads to fill the funnel up. The second big idea you got to think about today is don't sell yourself anymore. You don't have to. They already assume you can do the job because you have a LinkedIn profile, looks good, you have a nice website, you have the letters behind your name, you have the credentials. They're not questioning your ability to do the job. When you go to see a doctor, do you ask them where they went to school, who their patients are? No, you don't. You just comply because you assume they can do the job. But there's a trust building process they have, you need to have as well to follow that same model. And most importantly as well, stop doing free consulting. They don't really care about how you solve their problem. Now, it might appear that way. They might say to you, hey, John, I'm on your website, was curious. Can you help me solve this problem? And your instinct is to say, yeah, let me tell you how I can solve the problem. But the real issue behind all that is not how can you solve my problem. The real question they have in their mind is, are you the one to solve my problem, and can I trust you to solve it? They're not qualified to judge your solutions prematurely yet until they're a client. They're just on the outside in. But we have an instinct to be able to want to just show them we can do the job, to quote, make that sale. But who else is doing that? Everyone else they've called that day. So you have to change your thinking and your approach to shift that model. Here's a takeaway for you that I'll have you think about. And you might laugh for those who've been around for a long time, like myself, by the way. But I'm going to ask you all to never again use the word follow-up in your sales process. Okay? Don't ever call someone and say I'm calling follow-up, or even on email. Instead, use the word, I'm just giving you a call to see if you have any feedback. See, follow-up's going forward, chasing people, putting pressure on them, following up on the last meeting. Instead, the word feedback has it going backwards, takes the pressure off. That one language switch alone is fascinating how people actually say, oh yeah, so here's the truth. It all comes out. So we have a whole language set around this and a whole mindset shift that will just really rock your world if you're open to being coached around this and you're willing to change your thinking on this. A lot of people aren't, by the way. But you have to be willing to understand the world has changed. If you feel like you have leads slipping through your fingers and aren't converting, it's time to really commit to shifting your thinking on a different approach based upon trust. So look, if this is resonating with you today, and this makes sense to you today, I put together an opportunity for you to really learn to master this, to be able to become a black belt of this, so this becomes the future of your business. Now, one last thing. When you master this, This allows you to replicate yourself. If you're thinking about retiring next 3 to 5 years or want to leave your business soon in the future, you need a model to pass along to your people or the person replacing you that doesn't require them to sell themselves, but it's based on trust. So it's like myself. I replicated myself. I've got coaches now. I had to be near home with my son. So I built this process to replicate myself. And we can teach you how to do that to allow you to scale without having to leave behind a space in your business development model where your other folks behind you aren't as good as you are. What I have for you today is the opportunity to learn what this process is, how it works, really get your feet wet with the concept. And I put together an opportunity for you to do that. And what I'm going to do today is offer all of you the opportunity to get a free copy of all of my books that I publish that are best-selling books that will really help you get your head around this concept and teach you ideas to move things forward. So the first book is called Trust in a Split Second. If you don't have that one, that is the most vibrant, most real-time book you need to get to have access to the key languaging. My Unlock the Sales Game book is my original one that gives you a language you need to use for your emails. Are You Chasing Ghosts is a way to retract and bring back the folks you're chasing right now who are floating around your ecosystem but aren't converting. Trust Authority is how to position yourself as an expert, as a category 1 in your space, so you're not compared to anybody else. The Trust Authority Mindset book, Rules of Engagement, is a reminder of how to shift your thinking away from selling to positioning. And the last one, of course, is about Toby and what he meant to me and how he's the core of this whole philosophy. So I've got a whole pack I'm going to send you for free, no charge at all. We'll pay for the shipping and the stamps and all that. All you have to do is just simply scan this QR code. It also includes a 30-minute consultation for free, no problem at all, either myself or one of my coaches. Just go ahead and go to arigalper.com/bookpack or scan the code there. And that'll also allow you to schedule with a calendar a consultation for us to kind of diagnose and identify where the holes are on your process, where you feel like you're losing people. If you need help with lead generation as well, we have some ideas for that to generate inbound leads away from middlemen sources that are poor quality, to have your cylinder versus the funnel concept. So again, I'm willing to give this all to you for free, no problem at all. We'll ship you the whole box of my best books. Just scan the QR code or directly to arigalper.com/bookpack. As you're ordering on your way out, to schedule a time with us to have a consultation. It'll be myself or one of my folks, and we'll sit down together, really understand where you're struggling and where you want some help for the new year, and make sure you're on the right track. Thanks for coming. Talk to you soon.